Hello everyone, I'm Ronn Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media. Thank you so much for your time. Journey to Elections 2023. This is Just for the Record, and today we're sitting down with Aaron Parillon, the National Democratic Party 3rd District candidate for the upcoming general elections. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. As promised, you're watching Just for the Record, Journey to Elections 2023. We're joined by Mr. Aaron Parillon, the 3rd District candidate for the National Democratic Party. Mr. Parillon, thank you for your time and welcome back to our platform.
And thank you for having me, my brother.
It's an absolute pleasure. The last time we sat down was 4 years ago,
Yes.
when you, believe that was your first time
Yes.
throwing your hat in the ring with the National Democratic Party, again in the 3rd District. For those who don't know you, who is Aaron Parillon?
Aaron Parillon, solid individual, loyalist to my people, a lover of people, you know, a lover of education, you know, a lover of development of youth, you know. What else can I say? I'm just a product of my environment, very solid, strong character individual.
Speaking of your environment, the 3rd
Yes.
District, what does that environment look like, not only for yourself, but
Yes.
for the residents at this present time?
At this present time, the community is in need of development. It is in need of a plan, a structured plan going forward. It has to have an incorporation of youth and elderly, bridging the gaps in between. So within that respect, we haven't done so in quite a long time. And I feel now is the best time for myself to really put forward plans and propel the youth going forward, get them re-engaged into the community, get the elderly re-engaged back into giving back to the youngsters, you know, development of youth programs, re-engaging, you know, a lot of our parental, I would say, a lot of our parental values of the past, you know, getting those re-engraved back into the community, you know, developing the community in a structured way where it's open for economic development.
Okay. I want to get back to your plans, of course. You spoke about economic development, cost of living, of course, is something that has been coming up. But before we get into that conversation, I have to ask, since the last time we saw you, what have you been up to?
I've been active in my community, you know, sourcing more solutions and problems, because we know the problems, but sourcing solutions, actually becoming more engaged in trying to find ways to help the youth get back into society. I've been trying to find ways to beautify my community here and there, you know, just by observation. I'll go into the schools, point out a few things and just act upon them, you know, just let the principals know, especially Jessica, know that this is what I would like to do and get her blessings, and I'll just go forward with it, you know. I've just been active in my community, bro.
All right.
Just been really active.
You mentioned a lot about youth development.
Yes.
You are, based on my research, you're a father as well.
Yes.
When you look at some of the issues that are plaguing our young persons, what exactly, if elected, you think you would do specifically as it pertains to youth development?
Youth development in my community, I don't intend to reinvent the wheel, because there are individuals in the community who are doing an astonishing job of trying to, I would say, keep the youth engaged. You have Mr. Milton McLean, whether in sports, you have in education, you have Charmaine with Reading Room.
Of course.
And then you have, just to name a few, you have Mrs. Evelyn Forbes, Fraser Forbes, she's into music and so forth. She also does education. So it's not for myself to reinvent the wheel, but to widen their base, get more youth involved into these avenues, and also lend strategic support to Mr. McLean, because he's more of an elder right now, and what he has been doing needs another generation of individuals to come in and pick up where he left off, so we can put those young people on a different scope when it comes to athletics in our community. As it relates to athletics, facilities have not been up to par in a long time. And if we want to bring forward the next Demoy Hodge, the next Adeja Hodge, the next Karen McMaster, the next Chantel Malone, we have to give them the facilities that will encourage and foster their talents. And we have not done so. So these are some of the things that I have looked at in my community where I know can excel the youth in our community, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and coming up with these pie in the sky ideas. Use what is there already, invest more into it, get them more out into the streets, do more large campaigns to get these youth off the streets and get them back into what we were accustomed to, like the sunflower programs and so forth. But I have them already in the community, but it's just for us to just invest into them more.
All right. We have had a lot going on in the territory in
Yes.
the past 4 years. Of course, COVID, the COI, the arrest of our former leader and premier. And with that conversation comes, who's next? Who's going to lead us into the next 4 years and in some way save our country? There has been a notion, I've heard it on the radio airwaves, that we don't need young persons at this time. We need experienced persons. We need people who, for lack of a better phrase, know what they're doing. There's some persons in the community who are of the mindset that now is not the time for younger persons. As one of the younger candidates, what do you say to that type of thinking? Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull,
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean,
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne,
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine,
You did a pretty hard workout today, so
And
perhaps
as you can see, it's actually
you're
impacting
feeling
me.
it.
Alonzo Boynes,
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows,
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute.
You are an absolute beginner.
and Seth Graham.
It bites.
It will be.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
There goes my new car. Guess I'm back on my bike.
Your bike? CG offers new car replacement. Remember my monster truck days? Well, one night I attempted a 50-foot pogo double backflip. I landed it and went to karaoke. It wasn't until afterward that my car got hit by that fisherman. He gave me some great mahi-mahi though. Anyway, they paid fast and got me in a new car. Now call a cab. I want you to meet my alpaca guy.
New car replacement for the first year of ownership. CG Insurance. Good like that.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We have had a lot going on in the territory in
Yes.
the past 4 years. Of course, COVID, the COI, the arrest of our former leader and premier. And with that conversation comes, who's next? Who's going to lead us into the next 4 years and in some way save our country? There has been a notion, I've heard it on the radio airwaves, that we don't need young persons at this time. We need experienced persons. We need people who, for lack of a better phrase, know what they're doing. There's some persons in the community who are of the mindset that now is not the time for younger persons. As one of the younger candidates, what do you say to that type of thinking?
If not now, then when? When? We can't allow the fear mongering to stop us from development. This country is a growing country at this moment. We're not going through trying times, we're going through growing times. And these are growing pains. We have had some, I would say, we've had some activities that have transpired in the past that have exposed us. And now that the youth have become so much more politically involved in this community, we understand where we are, where we came from, and where we need to go. I believe in having more of a bridging the gap political arena right now, where you have an influx of youth coming in. That just shows you that we are more engaged in what has been transpiring. We are now fighting for the future of this country. We are not just trying to become political aspirants. We are fighting for the future of this country. So I applaud every single young individual that have become more politically engaged, that have become politically involved in the process, because this is our future. This is what we have been raised into. This is the community that have raised us. So it is our obligation to give back to our community all the knowledge we've gained over the years. Many of us have been sent to school by governments.
Correct.
So with the knowledge we've grasped, the experience we've grasped in many different technical, I would say, fields, many different career fields we've been in. Many of us have different untapped potential that we love to give back to this community. So to those who are claiming those rhetorics, I denounce them. I truly denounce them.
All right. Speaking of growing pains, I have to ask your take on the recently concluded Commission of Inquiry.
Yes.
Do you view the findings as a fair representation of what has transpired in the Virgin Islands over the last decade or so?
You say fair. I would not say entirely fair, but fair to the people on an educational standpoint. I think it was high time that we knew exactly what was transpiring in this country that we've just been hearing as rumors for quite a long time. So in that respect, I do believe that it has put us in a position where we understand some of what our shortcomings were. Some of the things that were transpiring in this country that we've neglected. So now is the best time for us to charter the course going forward in a more productive way where we can structure the BVI and put it on its potential plateau going forward.
Now, do you believe the sitting government can successfully implement the 48 recommendations? Of course, some implementations have already been implemented, but as the sitting government, do you think that they are capable and able to implement all 48 recommendations?
It doesn't matter what government is in place. I believe in my people. I believe in the people within the different departments. With the integrity of the people in these departments, we will do what is required of us and recommended of us. Having all those 40, how many of them you said?
48.
48 of them done within the tight manner.
That's correct. The time frame.
I don't think it's realistic.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Now, there are a lot of issues. We touched on some of them. Infrastructure.
Yes.
One in particular I want to touch on is the Parkwood Pond waste management site that continues. Many persons complain to be a threat to the environment. It's not too far from Seacoast Way. It probably doesn't affect that.
It actually
site
is. It
sometimes.
does.
Okay. Tell us about your thoughts on that.
I've been an advocate for years, and I've been posting on these things. I've been on social media. I've been on platforms speaking about this pollution in the community for quite some time and I don't want to necessarily make a statement to say that it has been entirely because of this, but the amount of people that have passed on in my community most recently have been through cancer. I've spoken with persons in the 1st District, 2nd District, and they've also raised the query, why have our people in this demographic of the country being affected by cancer so much? I have been to the gym down West End. I go to the gym down West End most times. And one of the nights I was there, we opened the windows, and the smoke that came inside, the smell that came inside was choking. So I know for a fact that the individuals that live on the western end are experiencing a lot of respiratory diseases and so forth. And it has become much of a plague to the third in two different respects, health-wise and the overall appearance of my community. You know, I really think that it's high time that we just stop speaking about it and we actually find a resolution into getting our garbage burning properly. Because another 5-10 years from now, it's as though we're going to build and we're going to go over on the other side of the hill. And we really can't, as a tourism, as a country that bases itself off of tourism, we can't have these type of things plaguing our country. The outlook of it also, because appearance is one of the biggest things that drives our tourism product. So, you know.
All right, I'm happy that you mentioned appearance.
Yes.
What is your take on the overarching and continuous sewage problem?
This has been one of the hot topics for years, you know, and I feel the very same individuals, they say, no, it's not the time for them to become involved in politics. I think we are the very same individuals that will get this fixed. Because it's not really about who gets the credit for it. It's just about getting the job done. So I really feel that it's time we really sit, put our thinking caps on, speak with the stakeholders of the country, if we need to get others from outside involved to help us remedy this issue, because we really need to get it remedied.
There has been much talk about self-determination and the move towards independence. Do you think the territory of the BVI is ready to be independent or move towards independence?
Ron, I'll tell you on the street, right? I am not the best person to make that deciding factor. I think when we as a people believe we are ready, we will forge towards being ready.
Okay. What is your take on the Virgin Islands Constitution possibly being suspended?
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it because we as a people, we've been governing. Although we have had governors coming here, we have been taking care of our country quite well for some times. You know, like any other country, you'll have shortcomings and setbacks, but we have done a tremendous job of taking care of our people in this community. So I do not agree with a suspension of our constitution.
All right, I have a few short questions. I need your take on this.
Okay.
If elected, whether you would support it or not, you can say yes or no, or you can go into detail. The legalization or decriminalization of marijuana.
Decriminalization of marijuana. It's a very good discussion to have, and I do think that, I'll put it this way. Smoking cigarettes are legal, right? Smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, smoking on a whole, smoking at the incinerator. If they all create respiratory issues, why does marijuana have such of an extange penalty towards it and the others don't? I look at the fact that a lot of young men go to prison for small quantities of marijuana, whether it's for personal usage and so forth. And there's a lack of education behind of the usage of marijuana and so forth. So I think as a community, it is time that we really sit and educate our people on the usage of marijuana, its medicinal use. And we make a conscious decision on what type of, I would say, what type of penalties we tend to impose upon our people. Because I don't think we should be taking, I would say, fragile minds placing them into prison for marijuana, and then they go up there and they're through individuals who are there through harsher penalties. They become a product of a certain environment. Then they come out here, and then we don't put rehabilitation programs in place to assist these individuals. They come out here and they become different than what they went into. You know, so I am not really for those harsh penalties when it comes to marijuana.
Understood. The legalization of abortion.
I haven't really had much of a thought into it as yet, so I can't really give you a conscious answer about it until I've really researched certain things with it.
Okay, the legalization of same-sex marriage.
That right there, my brother, I would probably have careful consideration with, you know, as it relates to what the country needs, what the country desires at this present moment, you know, and what our people feel they deserve. So okay. I'll leave my answer at that.
The legalization of parimutuel betting.
The same with that.
Okay. I want to go back because when I asked you about the legalization or decriminalization of marijuana, you mentioned about persons receiving harsh penalties. Yes. What is your take on prison reform in the territory and rehabilitation as it pertains to inmates and persons who are on remand or have served time? Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
Today, I am doing cobble treatments with Beyond the Reef. Today, we are doing shark research. So today, we are doing whale research with Beyond the Reef. And wherever I go, I take CCT with me because my life is unlimited.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, I can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What you really? Hey, this ain't like you, you know?
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out of trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my CCT life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I hustle. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. I have to go back to the aspect of the legalization and decriminalization of marijuana. You mentioned about the harsh penalties. What is your take on prison reform in the territory and the lack of rehabilitation for persons who have served time?
Right. So with rehabilitation, my brother, I truly feel that we have a lot of young individuals that get into trouble, and their insertion back into the community has not been done in a proper manner. They are released and they are just set out again without a structured plan as to getting them re-engraved back into the community. So I do believe that as a people and as a government, we have to find ways of rehabilitating our people, and from all aspects, whether it's from mental challenges or whether it's from going to prison or anything of such. Whatever trouble they are going through, we have to take care of our people.
Okay. Do you think we're doing enough as a territory as it pertains to mental health?
No, I think we can do a lot more, and that comes in same respect to rehabilitation. I think we could do a lot more.
All right. Mr. Parillon, in the final analysis on April 24th, the people of the territory will go to the polls.
Yes.
I'd like you to speak directly to the residents of the 3rd District. Why should they vote for Aaron Parillon?
My people of the 3rd District, you should vote for Aaron Parillon because you have a champion in myself. You have an individual that no matter the storms we go through, no matter the challenges, no matter the pandemics, you have a brother that will and will always be there for you. You have an individual that stand the test of times. You have an individual with a wealth of knowledge. You have an individual that loves his people and loves all the people of his community. You have an individual that is a staunch believer in the education of our people. I believe in the development of our young people, development of all people of this community. So my people, in myself, you have a champion. Vote Aaron Parillon.
Thank you so much. I got some lighter questions for you as we conclude. Your favorite Virgin Islands cuisine? What is your favorite Virgin Islands cuisine, if you have one?
I love a good fish soup. Good fish soup. I don't really eat meat anymore, so it's like anything I have to eat is like some good fish. Love a hard nose.
Okay.
Yeah, nice fried hard nose and some Johnny cake from my Aussie.
That's a good choice. Your favorite Virgin Islands rum or drink?
Virgin Islands rum or drink? Virgin Islands rum or drink? A little Crucian confusion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite sister island?
Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is your favorite Virgin Islands pastime?
Dominoes.
Yeah. All right. Culturally, you are a member of the Razor Blades.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like we have a cultural identity crisis in the BVI?
Elaborate on that further.
When I say that, let's take a look at our emancipation celebrations.
Yes.
Many persons are highly critical of the way we conduct our celebrations. And it has been said that we allow other nationalities to influence heavily our dressing, the type of music we listen to. Do you feel like we can precisely identify what our culture is as Virgin Islanders?
Yes, we have been, the Virgin Islands, no matter what, the Virgin Islands has always propelled our heritage and culture as it relates to emancipation. You know, if we're thinking about emancipation, emancipation is a celebration of being free people, right? So our lovely Virgin Islands has become a melting pot for all Caribbean countries, and that's because we're the love of the Caribbean. So we welcome all ethnicities into the Virgin Islands. We adapt, you know, and as a country, we do have strong influences into this country. But what has never left us is our heritage. Our culture has never left us.
All right, Mr. Parillon, I want to thank you so much for the conversation, and most importantly, thank you for exercising your democratic right in seeking election into the next House of Assembly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother.
Viewers, that's all the time we have. You've been watching Just for the Record. I'm Ronn Grant on 284 Media. You have met Mr. Aaron Parillon, the 3rd District candidate on the National Democratic Party ticket for the upcoming 2023 general elections. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Just for the Record, a political mini-series where Ronn Grant, Kamal Haynes, and Jhaka Wooding sit down with the territory's present and future leaders contesting in the 2023 elections. We're tired of the same old political talking points, so we're doing something about it. We've reached out to every single candidate to ask them the tough questions. For instance, what's your take on same-sex marriage?
Every single person has the right to private and family life. Everyone has their choice, everyone has their opinion, everyone has their beliefs.
I leave it for the professionals. You should have the right to decide. I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't do it or anything. It's not for me to do.
Marijuana.
Once it's a medical marijuana, then I have no issues with it at all.
I would support that.
Medicinal cannabis can help us with many of the ailments that our people right now are suffering from.
We have to make sure that whatever industry that we invest in, that the economics of it makes sense
the cost of living.
We will look at all avenues and all the possibilities to ensure that we look at how we can manage the cost of living in this territory.
Living in the BVI based on that minimum wage, I think it's $6.50. How can a family survive?
It's pretty high. Rent prices are pretty high. Can we do something about the prices that within the supermarkets?
And much more, along with the not so serious questions as well.
I did drink a lot of guava berry during the Christmas season.
So tune in for the real story on all the territory's candidates running for office, just for the record, starting April 4th, 2023 on all our social media platforms, only on 284 Media.